Welcome into the I-80 Boys College Football Podcast. We got a little Alabama versus Wisconsin preview on tap for you today. Chris, I'll stick by the SEC homer here, right? I'll start with Alabama. Look, Alabama had a little bit of a scare last week against USF, right? But to be fair, Nick Saban last year on the road had some issues with him too, right? And honestly, I think the first two games of the season, Daboll wanted Jalen Milroe to limit the running and focus on developing as a passer. Now, there's some problems within that we'll talk about here in a minute with the offensive line play and things of that nature that are a little concerning if you're an Alabama fan. Okay, but talking about Milroe, he had almost 500 yards and 9 total touchdowns, right? Pretty freaking great. You know what I'm saying in that one, right? And this to this point of the season, right? That wasn't just last week. He's got some rushing yards in there as well, and so he's been balling out. His top target, get this, a 17-year-old freshman phenom, Ryan Williams. Guy already has 207 yards and 3 touchdowns so far. Nobody else on Alabama's roster has more than, I think 70 or 80 yards or something like that receiving. Wow. Guy's been his go-to, 17 years old. Look, Alabama's still capable of playing murder ball. Don't let them fool you, right? They have a loaded backfield, Chris. Jam Miller, Justice Haynes, both have combined for 342 yards in 2 games so far. I mean, Wisconsin's very middle of the road in terms of rushing yards allowed, so look for Bama to take advantage of that, I think. Talked about it. O-line hasn't been great, Chris, for Bama so far. They haven't played world beaters. I know they've had some injuries along that offensive line. They've had some penalties. I mean, it's been a whole bunch of different shit for them, but they're ranked 82nd right now in sacks allowed in the country. So that's got to get cleaned up before you start getting, playing these big boys and shit. Or Milroe's just he's not gonna make it through the season based on that. Bottom line, Chris, Wisconsin has a respectable defense, but if Bama can establish the run game early and get their playmakers some one-on-one opportunities in this one while keeping Milroe upright, just like that matchup predictor says, Chris, this thing could get ugly quick. On the other side of the ball, Bama has done well, I think, with the competition they've faced. They rank 25th, right, in terms of total defense thus far through 2 weeks in the season. Here's the thing for me, right? The real despairing thing for Wisconsin is they rank 75th in terms of total offense. And like we just said, they haven't exactly played a whole bunch of world beaters on their schedule either, right? Look, I'll just say this. I look for Bama to bottle up Wisconsin's run game, and they have to force Van Dyke to try and beat him. Look for linebacker Jahad Campbell, who already has 20 tackles, by the way, and those tackle Tim Keenan the third, who already has 1.5 sacks on the year, to feast in this one. Okay, that's what I've got for Bama. Let me hear about Wisconsin.
Yeah, 2-0, which is great, right? This is what we wanted if you're a Wisconsin fan. Wins against Western Michigan and South Dakota. I'm a little concerned. I'm throwing the red flag here, Christian, on Wisconsin right now. What in the hell is going on with TVD, as in Tyler Van Dyke, bro? These are 2 teams that they should have blown out. I expected him to put up crazy numbers. Not happening so far this year. He's 38 of 63 for 406 yards and only 1 passing TD. Let me repeat that, only 1 passing touchdown. I know, I've been around the Big Ten for a long time. Wisconsin loves to run the football. I get that. But they got to get it going through the air here. Those numbers are not very impressive from a kid from Miami who put up some pretty crazy numbers at times when he was there. Not sold right now, Christian. I'm not. Chaz, was it Molesky, Malzuni, whatever, how the hell ever you say his name, I'm sure I butchered that. 35 carries for 134 yards. That's only 3.7 yards per carry. I know you're laughing over there because I'm going to hear about it in the comments. Can this guy read? Now, normally Wisconsin, has got running backs that are well north of 5 yards per carry, Jonathan Taylor, guys like that. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's the offensive line. I don't know if it's the running back, but they got to get their shit together. No Braylon Allen there anymore either. Receiver-wise, I watched him play the other night. Will Pauling's still the number 1 there. He's the slot guy. He's good. He's a decent slot guy. He's averaging about 10.8 yards per catch. But like I said, Wisconsin's going to have to be able to hit some big plays in the air against Alabama. We know that. And it's honestly, this is like time for Tyler Van Dyke to step up and have one of those games. It truly is. Defensively, look, they've been pretty solid, and this is a Luke Fickell defense, and I'm high on Luke Fickell. You know that. They're giving up less than 250 yards per game, but that's against Western Michigan and South Dakota, man. I mean, this is expected. So I'm not going to sit here and harp on the defense too much, but they are going to have to find a way to contain the running game of Alabama. You mentioned the two really good backs they got. We all know what Jalen Milroe can do when he's in the pocket and scrambling around. The guy's like another running back there. So with this being said, I'm going to give my prediction here. This pains me, Christian, because I remember we talked about this game in the offseason, and I said, man, we had this one circled. And I said, damn, I would love to see Wisconsin pull this one off at home. But from what I've seen, and we have a small sample size of 2 weeks, Wisconsin to me has not impressed me, really at all. I mean, I just haven't seen enough out of that offense, especially the passing game and Tyler Van Dyke. I got Bama 31, Wisconsin 14. Roll Tide.
Oof. Yeah, very similar. I had Bama 31, Wisconsin 17. So very, very similar. I originally had penciled in for 10. Of course, I want to talk about something here for a second. And we talk about this a little bit here on the show. Van Dyke, like you said, he has very weird up and down performances. In a weird way. He's due for something, right? He's got to be due for something. The only problem is Wisconsin's offense is due for something under Fickell. They haven't looked great, last year with Mordecai and all that. The problem is, I don't know if it's going to be in this game. It feels like it should be. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to happen. Chris, let me ask you this. What if Wisconsin has any shot to win this game? What do they have to do?
I hate to say it, man. I've talked about it. Tyler Van Dyke, man, he is going to have a big game. You said it too. I think everybody agrees he's got to play better. I know the Wisconsin man is saying the same thing. We have a few on our channel said, man, he's got to have one of these games. I know it's early in the year. I know it was against two teams that are not that good. I get that. Maybe they're saving something. Maybe they're looking ahead. Whatever you want to throw out there, fine. But they are also going to have to be able to establish the run a little bit better. I like the running backs they have. We know Wisconsin's always been known for ground and pound. Now that Fickell's there, they want to throw the ball a little bit more. And it starts with Tyler Van Dyke. And here's my thing. I say this a lot in football. Time of possession. Keep Alabama's offense off the field. They need this to be a low-scoring game, Christian. They really do in order for Wisconsin to win this one. They put up 28 points and 27 points in their previous two games against, like I said, Western Michigan and South Dakota. You're going to have to probably get in the 20s here against Bama, and you're going to have to somehow contain Jalen Milroe, make him throw the ball off balance. We know he's not a great intermediate passer, Christian, but as far as him making plays, man, we saw what he can do. Michigan had problems with him last year in the playoffs. So I want to flip that question back over to you, though, Christian, and hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a very interesting thing. I think on the defensive side of the ball for Wisconsin, I'll start there. They're going to have to try to contain Alabama's rushing attack, and they're going to have to keep Milroe in the pocket. If he starts to move out of the pocket, you're going to have to be able to keep contain, right? Easier said than done. Keep him in the pocket. If he steps up, man, you got to have somebody right there to make his life hell. You got to make him be one-dimensional in this game. You got to make Alabama one-dimensional. You got to make him throw the football, right? And again, when they throw the football, we know Alabama still has playmakers. They have guys that are just better athletes, honestly, than 97% of the people in college football. So that's the other hard side of stopping Alabama. Now, if somehow you can do that and you can keep Milroe bottled up, on the other side of it, like you said, you have to really, I don't think Wisconsin can win a shootout with Alabama. They just can't. I don't think they're built for that. I think they need to get back to Wisconsin football. They need to try to run the ball, establish the line of scrimmage early, control the clock, like you said, win the time of possession game in this one. And Van Dyke, when he's asked to do something, he's got to be able to do it. Okay. The problem is, I don't think, other than Will Pauling, and even that, I don't think Wisconsin has the receivers to be able to create separation in this one. I just don't. I don't think that they have it because, I mean, if you go to Alabama, you're a defensive back, you're used to seeing guys all the time. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster, like we just talked about. Wisconsin doesn't have those dogs. It's the same problem with Iowa. It's the same problem that plagued Nebraska for a few years. Now they do. But it's the same problem that we've seen out of a lot of these teams. They just don't have the guys that can create separation and do what they need to do in order to kind of make the offense good. So that all has to happen. But above all, if you can do all of that, the one thing that will shoot you in the foot and ruin any shot you have is, for the love of God, you have to play a clean game. You cannot let Alabama get less penalties than you. You know what I'm saying? or get, you know what I'm saying? Like you can't commit more. You can't just commit a shit ton of penalties, offsides, false starts, holding, this, that, the other. You have to try to play as clean of a game as you possibly can to have a shot to beat Bama. And even then, it's still not a guarantee.